Crackle is celebrating the Halloween season with some exciting shows, movies, and some original content. Best of all, it is free. Chris Woolsey here, Senior Director of Communications at Crackle, here to chat all about it. Thank you so much for your time today.
Rudy, thank you for having me. This is amazing. I'm so excited to be here.
Halloween, my favorite time of year. I mean, I get spooked out, but I also love all the shows, the movies, and everything. But first of all, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Crackle. For people who haven't found it yet, give us a little bit of an overview of what the platform's like.
Sure. So Crackle is a free entertainment service. We have thousands of originals, exclusives, Hollywood blockbusters, classic TV series, and they're all free. And they're available on pretty much any device you've got around. We're on mobile, we're on tablets, we're on your laptop on the web at crackle.com. You can download us on pretty much any smart TV. So if you just go to your favorite app store and download the Crackle app, you open it up and just start watching. There's no registration, super easy, and everything is always free.
That is amazing. Now we want to get as much horror and scary and spooky content in all the way up through October 31st, leading up to Halloween. I know what scares me is that there's always that house in the woods or a house that's been abandoned. Anything with that's kind of like that, I'm sold. That's what always freaks me out. What is your thing? Is it the lake? Is it dolls? Is it, what is it that scares Chris?
So that's funny that you mentioned that. It's actually dolls in lakes. So that's no, it is lakes. There's something about water that freaks me out. I love it, but it also creeps me out because I'm like, what is living in there? And you hear these stories about people pulling 400-pound sturgeons out of a lake that's 12 acres, and I just think what is below the surface? This is really freaking me out. So yeah, water's a big one for me.
I mean, especially since the 1970s, Jaws was that movie that got everybody scared of it, and you guys have Lake Placid on, right now through Crackle. But let's first go ahead and talk a little bit about some of the original content, something brand new that somebody wants to enjoy for Halloween.
Yeah, so one of the cool things about Crackle is every month we have original programming that you can only see on Crackle, and in the ad-driven video on demand world, that kind of sets us apart from the rest of the field. That every month we have a new original film or TV series that you can only watch on Crackle. And this month we have a spectacular TV series. So this is season 2 of a series called The Wall. And season 1 is amazing. It's also on Crackle, so you can binge that before you jump into season 2. But it takes place in a tiny little town just below the Arctic Circle. And it's so cold that they actually have to build this gigantic wall around the town in order to keep it from getting destroyed by the elements. Well, that's great, but unfortunately, it's also keeping in some really dark secrets. It ends up that there's a serial killer inside the town. So that was season 1. And now with season 2, which just dropped October 1st. We just continue the chills, and they just crank it up to 11. So this one is about a murder spree that's taking place again in Canada and in the chilly winter. And the first victim that they find, you know what? I'm not going to spoil it.
Just go binge it. Go start watching.
It's amazing. And I will say, I said lakes, and the first death that you see is kind of related to water, and it's one of the most horrifying. The reveal is terrifying. So you're gonna love it. I cannot say enough good things about this show. The reviews have been pouring in, and they're all just, people are going crazy over it. So just launched. You can only watch it on Crackle. The Wall, seasons 1 and 2, amazing show.
Go ahead and start season 1 so you can get ready for season number 2. And then, one of the favorite things, especially, around this Halloween time, is to go back and watch some of your favorites. So the things that spooked you as a kid or as a teenager. Talk about, maybe let's go through some of the films first before we go through some of the series.
Sure. So one of my favorites, and I hadn't seen it since I was a little kid, is the original 1958 schlock classic, The Blob. We've got that this month on Crackle. And I don't know if you remember, Rudy, but I did not remember until I started watching it last week. It's starring Steve McQueen, which is crazy. And he's supposed to be a teenager, but apparently he was 28 when he shot this movie. And I always do research because I'm a film nerd. I'm a lot of kinds of nerds, but I'm also a film nerd. And I looked up, and it ends up that the production company offered him $2,500 to play the leading role, or 10% of the box office. And he had such little faith in the movie that he took the easy money of 2,500, and it went on to gross $4 million in 1958 dollars. So he lost a small fortune on that gamble, unfortunately.
You also think of the actors now who don't take a paycheck, but they just get a percentage of the box office and they make a killing that way. So,
oh my gosh, that's almost everyone that I know in LA. They ask ahead of time, like, can I just take a piece of the back? Totally.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. So tell us some of the other titles that we can see here for Halloween.
Okay, so you brought up dolls, and I am terrified of dolls. Don't let me skip over that. But we have the 1978 classic Magic. I don't know if you remember this, but when I was a kid, Magic had just come out, and it is terrifying. So it's about a ventriloquist whose dummy comes to life. And I don't know about you, Rudy, but automatically any movie that has a ventriloquist dummy in it is automatically a horror film. I don't care if it's a rom-com. I don't care if it's a documentary. It is a horror film because those things scare me till the end of time. In fact, my parents put a Charlie McCarthy doll in my room as a kid, and I had to have it removed because I couldn't sleep. It was just horrifying. But it's starring Anthony Hopkins, Burgess Meredith, and Anne Margaret. Who knew those three did a horror film? But really good. Anthony Hopkins plays this like world famous ventriloquist when such a thing was possible, and his doll comes to life and tries to convince him to start killing people. And it's really good, really scary, full of cheese. It's good stuff.
I mean, even just mentioning that right there is that even going back on Crackle, maybe a movie title you haven't heard of before, but to see, some of your favorite actors for roles you may know them for in, the 80s, 90s, and later, but to know like in the 50s, 60s, 70s, here are these titles that they did, is because you're not going to see, Anthony Hopkins in a role like that, now, but you can go back and celebrate his past work.
Absolutely. And we have a ton. One of the things that we do really well at Crackle is to mine those classic titles. Really, really good stuff. Yeah, for sure.
And Boogie Man, one of the series that scared me as a kid. You have that and a couple of sequels there.
Yeah. Yep. That we do. Which is funny because I know the guy who plays Boogie Man, and he's actually one of the nicest people I know, which is very funny. So this is one of my personal favorites of the last, 15 years, and that's Train to Busan. I don't know if you've seen it, but it is a South Korean zombie film that takes place on a train. So just think snakes on a train, but with zombies. And it is without a doubt my favorite horror film of the last 20 years. The characters are amazing. The story arcs are beautiful. The zombies are terrifying, and these are fast zombies. If you like anything in that vein, I cannot recommend this movie enough. It is spectacular, and you're going to love it. So Train to Busan, please do yourself a favor, check it out. Make this your Halloween binge viewing, because it's great.
It's great. You also have ghost stories and celebrities, paranormal activity as well too. So people who get into those ghost stories, and I know I always have to watch those at like 4:00 in the afternoon, so I have enough daylight so that I can actually get some sleep at night, because I'm too old to be watching those things right before I go to bed.
True. I'm the same way. Yeah, we've got a lot of paranormal content on Crackle, and yeah, those ones freak me out quite a bit for sure. And then, if you're looking for the classics, we've got Prom Night with Jamie Lee Curtis, the Scream Queen herself, which is considered a 80s horror staple, and Happy Birthday to Me, with Melissa Sue Anderson, Mary Ingalls from Little House on the Prairie. It was so weird. I was rewatching it going, wait a minute, is that the girl from Little House on the Prairie? What the heck? I had no recollection that she was in a slasher film from the 80s, so that was kind of funny.
That's awesome. Well, Chris, thank you so much for your time today. Crackle.com is where you can go ahead and download it and go ahead and check out some of those titles. We got a lot, a couple of days here till Halloween, so we want to get as much of that scary content, and then we'll chat again coming around the holidays, because I'm sure we got some great holiday content coming up.
We've got tons. Your Santa's bag is going to be filled with holiday classics.
Chris, you're the best. Thank you so much for your time today.
Rudy, it was a pleasure. Can't
Thank
wait
you.
for the next time.